was trying to get my horse back to where we came from. I was trying to get everybody else to do the same. But my uncle said that to be safe, we needed to get up into the rocks. So he uh, he took the reins of my horse and led me up into those. At this point, Crixos interrupts and says, "You mean he deliberately separated you from the rest of us? That's what you mean?"
I was about to say that every time she mentions the uncle, I'm
Right.
going to quick side eye
Right.
Crixos to see
Well, yeah,
what happens.
and
with
he
him.
he said he bit his tongue once already, and this time he couldn't.
Okay. Okay.
And says, in other words, he separated you from us. And she kind of looks at him, gives him kind of a shut up look, and I'm talking, I'm telling the story, and so not in a way of like shut up, oh quiet, don't tell the secret, not like that, just like I'm talking, and turns back to Use, tells you, we were it seemed that they were not pursuing at first, but then more of them came among the rocks. Crixos had come after us, and that's when he used the imperial magic. He drew a wall of flame that burned the hyenas, um, and we fled. It was night by then, and we lost track of my uncle. Um, and I don't know if he's alive or dead, if they took him or not. I know that some other people caught up with us as we cast about looking for our way back. So two of the people with us, basically she means people who worked with the ranches, were with us. The hyenas pursued us, and they even the one of our members was not seen again as we struggled through the night, and then we lost another one near where we met you. That I don't know. It was. The Crixo says it was horrible. There are these things in the sand. There are these pointed things in the sand, and he fell among them, and I think they poisoned him. And Lista says, yes, sand spikes. Sand spikes got the last person with us. And remember, you guys saw that body.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Right. So, the hyenas kept coming, and finally, and we were, Crixos said that he could not keep running and using his magic, and that he could not, and that he was completely lost. So I had some idea of where we were and how we might get back, but we couldn't struggle through the Badlands like that, like we were. We had no food, no water, and then we saw the place we met you, and it was our last hope. But she says, I don't know why. I have been living here all my life. I have been riding out in lands like this all my life. We have dealt with savage animals before, but they don't attack a band of people. Hyenas have better things to do than attack a group of humans on horseback. And so it was completely. I could not understand it. And the one, did you see the one? Crixos nods and says, that one, the big one. And Lista says, she hated me. She hated me. I don't know why. And Crixos says, she? And is just a little puzzled. She? And Vefselk, you instantly know what he's talking about if you're listening. This species of hyena, the female genitalia, looks exactly the same as the males. In fact, in real life, the only way to tell them apart is actually to go and palpate the scrotum to see if there are testes in there.
Oh,
which
wow.
is not really what you do casually to a hyena, just for your
Right.
information.
Not that one for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so you can see why Crixos is a little. He's unaware of hyena biology, and it's puzzling to him that that was a guy,
Yeah.
right? So the so that's just an interesting little detail of it. But she knows that hyenas are matriarchal, and so any big one that's
Yeah.
running around, the other ones do what it says. That it must be a woman, a female hyena. So that's why she said that. But the the point is that to her, I mean, Crixos says, "Are those they don't do they chase prey like that? No." And he at that point he gets really thoughtful. I mean, Crixos stops really concentrating on what anybody's saying at this point, and you can see him he's really
Okay.
thinking. I mean, he's really it's like he's searching his memory, and he's you know so is there anything else you want to talk to Listus about?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, I was while this is going on, I said I'm glancing to my friends, to Itasha and to Abshak, to see if they have anything to add. But I think when she mentioned this part, I'm going to do something casual, like poking the fire with a stick or something, something distracting, and just say, tell her if the hyenas behave in this weird way, that could mean your uncle may be safe if they were after you. And then just right after I casually asked, how long has been Crixos has Crixos been with your family so far?
The answer is about a month or 6 weeks.
Okay.
So it's fairly recent. And
Yeah.
And Crixos says, I have no doubt that Casca is still alive. Ferrith, right? He's trying to make sure he hits your name right. He says, Ferrith.
That's my name.
I'm going to share with you some of our situation. The horses that are bred here have been a big success. I have distant family relations to Listas clan, and he kind of smiles a little and says, grand aunts and family branches and things like that. So my family decided that I would benefit from some time traveling to outside, far-flung areas away from home. He sighed a little bit and says, I agreed with them. And so coming here and helping the family connections, perhaps, to import some of the horses. People have been talking about that for a long time. It was decided that I would benefit from an extended sojourn away from home. And he's kind of implying that he was kind of getting irritated and pissed off at being a young adult, with everybody, and sort of welcomed the chance to get the hell out of his home area. And so I have found that Listas, whose parents are dead, would he kind of looks at Listas and says, this is personal. And Listas just kind of vaguely shakes her head and says, go ahead. I know you have an opinion. Let's hear it. And he says, we have fought together. We almost fought with each other. He's talking to you, to Ferrith. He looks around at the other dusters and he says, and I still don't pretend to understand. This is a strange land to me. but we have fought together, and I owe you an immense, immense thanks. I owe you the understanding as best as I can. Listas is at the age where her parents, if they were alive, would either be entrusting her with great responsibilities of managing the ranches and business, or sharing in those, or marrying her to someone who can. Um, as of yet, her mother's brother has been doing all of this management, and he is being he is seeking potential marriage for her, but he's taking complete control over that. As far as I'm concerned, he's marrying her off to get her out of the management, to get her out of the picture. And at this point, Listas finally can't stand it anymore and says, "Look, my uncle has been as a father to me. And she kind of says, I don't know what you're really thinking or hoping for, Crixos, but are you, she's trying not to say, what, are you trying to get hold of me instead? I mean, is that what you think I am? Right? Just your little summer fling. But she's not really coming out and saying that. They've been through a little too much together for them to have a real fight about it, but you can tell that she is not really buying his narrative. She's saying, there's no reason to think that Casca has had anything to do with this. He and I don't always agree, and she says, and he has terrible taste in suitors, in potential husbands. But it's he has already told me that he's going to include me in the management that we make, or the deals we make with your family, Crixos. And Casca and Crixos says, yes, he's told you he will. He's already spoken with me extensively about how he wants this managed. Has he talked to you about that at all?
So I kind of picture these two people flaring up and, kind of yelling at each other. And then there is us, which are completely impassionate.
Right.
And,
well, they're
incredibly cold.
And they're not even really screaming and yelling. They're just being very assertive. Yes. But from your standpoint, it looks like they're almost hysterical.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think once they're kind of a few sentences into this complex thing, Beth stands up and goes and sits somewhere far away and is looking up at the stars, lying on her back, smoking her pipe. She's not listening to any of this.
Right, exactly. You guys are complicated.
Gareth can be curious.
That's right. What about Athasha? Because you're starting to get an image of what's going on.
I think I started listening, and I got some funny feelings, but then I realized I only understand barely half of it, partly because of his accent, and then I just decide Farid probably can tell me tomorrow whatever makes sense to him. I'm just I'm gone. I'm going to sleep.
I'm kind of thinking that tomorrow may be late, so I kind of stand up and tell, it seems like you guys need a moment for yourself. I'm going to try and set up our defenses for the night. And I take a few steps and give a Vepshelk and Itasha, the kind of look.
Right.
Let's have a small talk among ourselves.
Excellent. Well, the two of them don't continue to bicker. They settle down and, kind of even sit next to each other closely and kind of just enjoy being alive and recognize that, they disagree over, he thinks that her uncle's trying to knock her off.
Yeah.
In some way. And so but he can't quite say that out loud to her. He's trying to he knows that he doesn't have any direct evidence